What's up, everybody? Today is Monday, Motivational Monday, um, March 17th, 2025, Season 2, Episode 47 of Talk Radio. Um, we are 20.82% through the year of 2025. That's 10 weeks and 6 days, which equals 76 days total. And that's 1,824 hours and 109,440 minutes. And that is a total killing number of 6,566,400. a lot of time. Okay, a lot of time. But welcome to Talk Radio, your place for inspiration, transformation, and real conversation that fuels growth. It's Motivational Monday, and today we have an incredible guest joining us, Betsy Kudlinski. I always torture that name. Betsy Kudlinski, a somatic experiencing practitioner and freedom guide. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, or motivated, this episode's for you. Betsy helps people reconnect with their true nature, break through personal barriers, and step into a life of freedom and fulfillment. Before we dive into today's powerful conversation, I want to take a moment to set the tone. We've all faced times when we felt trapped, whether in our careers, relationships, or even our own minds. But what if I told you that motivation isn't something you find, it's something you build? Today's episode is all about that journey. I'm reading my script. Because I'm making this total pre-recorded. Completely pre-recorded. Because I want to do a test run on it and see how it goes. But we'll be diving deep into how trauma affects motivation, practical ways to stay inspired, and a powerful process of renaturing. Plus, Betsy will be sharing real success stories from her work that will leave you feeling empowered. Before we bring Betsy on, I want to share a few quick thoughts on motivation. One of the biggest misconceptions is that motivation strikes like lightning, that suddenly one day we wake up and feel ready to take on the world. But the truth is, motivation's a muscle. The more you work at it, the stronger it becomes. And part of that strength comes from understanding what holds us back in the first place. So, as you listen today, I encourage you to think about one area of your life where you've been stuck. What would breaking free from that look like for you? Keep that in mind as we get into today's discussion. Yeah, discussion. And like I say, I'm going to do pre-recorded this whole episode. For one, the wife was talking to me about getting out tonight and doing some fun stuff or something. Getting out and do something. And I was like, okay, I'll have to pre-record the show. so I'm doing that in case I'm not home at 11. And you guys will have a show. So now let's welcome Betsy Kudlinski to the show. Okay? Okay. Peace. Okay, so Betsy, thank you for joining us today. Before we dive in, can you share a bit about yourself and what led you to the work you do today as a somatic experiencing practitioner and freedom guide?
Sure. I started life as a good kid, the healthy kid, and that kind of set me up for the rest of my life, doing everything the way I was supposed to and hiding anything that wasn't the right thing. And as I got into my late 20s, I think, I was getting migraines every single day. I had lots of chronic pain, fatigue, all of the symptoms of fibromyalgia. And I became like more and more unable to do anything. Eventually, I stopped being able to work, and I was out of work for, I think, 3 years in my early 30s. And then I was able to start again very slowly. And at that point, I was working at farms. I was working at a horse farm and then a goat farm. And then they call it a diversified farm, which is I was working with cows, pigs, sheep, and chickens. And I crashed again and I stopped being able to work. And I had trained as a life coach. And then from the depth of like lying on the couch, I searched for another way of healing. And I found somatic experiencing. And so I worked with a practitioner for about 1.5 years before going to the training myself, which is a 3-year training, pretty intensive. And so now I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner, and I work with individuals and groups. And I bring that wealth of knowledge that I have from working with animals for 35 years. And yeah, so they've all come together. I don't have daily migraine or chronic pain or fatigue. I do have to live carefully. I have to not do too much. I feel like a whole person.
All right, well, everyone has a moment or experience that changes their path. Was there a specific turning point in your life, an event, realization, or struggle that pushed you toward healing, self-discovery, and personal freedom?
Yeah, I do. Help people figure out when sometimes they're at their lowest. Sometimes they've been in talk therapy for a while. I help them connect, or rather reconnect to their body and what their nature, their real innate animal body knows, and help them dissolve the old stuff so they can meet their new future.
Uh, for those unfamiliar with somatic experiencing, could you give us a simple breakdown of what it is and how it helps people heal?
Simple, huh? Let me see what I can do here. When I talk about somatic experiencing with people who don't know anything about it, I often talk about words for entire concepts in other cultures that we don't know in the Western world. We now know about the word for forest bathing from Japan. Some of us do. But if we were just told that word, we would hear forest bathing and we wouldn't know anything about it. So when I say that we connect with our bodies, it's hard to describe because it's an entire concept. In the Western culture, we tend to think of our bodies as the meat robot that goes with our cognitive brain. And in actuality, we have two brains. Of course, we've got the gray matter in our skull. We have a huge bunch of nerves in our heart area and an even larger bundle of nerves in our guts. So we really do have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. So when you say that have a gut instinct of somebody, you're not lying. It's not figurative at all. But because in our culture we think that it's all in our brains, we forget. We stop hearing anything from the rest of our body by accident. And so what somatic experiencing is it gets us back in touch with the information from the rest of our body. And then it gets us to connect with the places in that rest of the body that are holding stress and trauma and ancient, sometimes not even our own, our ancestors' baggage. And then we resolve it by allowing the body to finish the process that never got done. When you are watching your dog, I don't know if you have a dog, but when you're watching your dog, they were growling at a squirrel out the window or something, and you yell at them, and they come back, and then they shake. And we see dogs shake all the time, but one of the things that shake can be doing is resetting their nervous system, and allowing their nervous system to settle, because they got all activated watching the squirrel. And then in order to come back, jump on the couch and curl up with you again, they have to settle. And we don't allow, or we weren't allowed at some point through training or trauma or whatever to complete that activation and settling. And so what we do in somatic experiencing is once you can clear your body gets to complete each of those responses. Sometimes it's at a time, sometimes it's just once, depending on what we're working with. How's that for a short answer?
That was pretty simple. Okay, so next I got, it's kind of broken down into segments, but this is segment 2, motivation and overcoming challenges. So many people feel stuck, whether it's in their job, relationships, or personal growth. In your experience, what's the very first step someone should take to break free from that feeling of being trapped?
Very first thing that somebody should do is reach out. Sometimes when we feel the most trapped, we feel like we're all alone. And you can reach out to your dog, said dog who runs after squirrels, or a practitioner of some sort, a friend, a group, a men's group, or a book group. The very first thing that you can do is remember that we are social animals, and we often can't get out of it alone.
Yeah, there's always people to reach out to.
Huh?
There's always people you can reach out to. So.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels like there isn't anybody. Sometimes people have to pay somebody, right? A therapist or a coach or somebody. And then they realize that there's more than just the people that they can pay.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Good. Glad to hear it.
Okay, we hear a lot about how trauma and stress affect the body, but how do they impact our motivation? Why do people sometimes shut down or self-sabotage when trying to move forward?
So trauma and chronic stress get ingrained And when I say trauma, I'm talking about how our body reacted and held an event or whatever. So trauma is not the event, it's what's going on in our body. So when we've had trauma or chronic stress or whatever it is, our body formulates a pattern of survival. We made it through. And then we keep doing it that way. And it becomes a really well-worn pathway for our body, for our brain to take. And it's hard to get out of that groove. And so motivationally, we have to find the root. We have to, instead of deciding that we don't want to do it that way anymore, we have to figure out why we're doing it that way. And then we can find another way to do it. Often it happens all by itself. Did that answer your question? I'm not even sure that I did.
Okay, you teach something called the renaturing process. I like that term, renaturing, like changing yourself. Can you explain what it means and how someone can start reconnecting with their true nature, even when life feels chaotic?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of times what we hear right now is rewilding. And I tend to feel like that's kind of another way to go dramatic. And I thought of renaturing because of the term denaturing from organic chemistry, when things literally get taken apart at the atomic level. And I want to put them back together again. So stress, trauma, and socialization and enculturation have separated us, denatured us. And that includes from nature, right? We're animals and we pretend we're not. And we belong to this earth and we pretend we have dominion over it. And so renaturing is getting back in touch with ourselves, back in touch with our animal, and getting back in touch with Earth, which I do kind of on a fundamental level when I consider, because if we get in touch with ourselves, there's a lot more respect for everything. And one of your questions was how to do it. And I would say start early. And I don't mean that like it's too late for you. I mean, go back and think about, feel into, remember, maybe with help, get help. Through a guided process, you can find who you were supposed to be before you got trained, socialized, culturated, traumatized, overstressed, trapped in a job you hate.
Yeah. Well, there's always stresses in life, so you just got to learn how to manage those stresses and move forward and keep on going. Because I deal with a lot of stress just getting my shows put together, and when I started trying to reach out to guests, and I'm very socially anxious, so I was like, oh my god, I'm going to be talking to strangers and looking like an idiot. But I just said, I'm going to do it, have fun, and see what happens.
And have you had fun?
Yeah, it's been fun, I mean, even
What's
with the
really
echo, from people saying they hear an echo, I kind of get stressed. I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to fix that, but I'm going to work on it. I'm going to try to get some headset like you got with the little mic, and that might help.
This particular headset would be great. I have 3 dogs that can sometimes stand right at the floor, right at my feet, bark at me. People can't.
Yeah, we cat people. We got cats in our house. So all we hear is meow, 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 meow.
The only thing it doesn't work with is the birds. I think it's the pitch is too high or something.
Yeah. Okay. Next segment: practical tips for listeners. A lot of people listening right now might feel overwhelmed with their day-to-day lives. What are some simple daily practices they can do to stay motivated and improve their mental well-being?
Okay. So first, I want to say that a lot of times we feel overwhelmed because we aren't able to relax. And I don't mean that you don't take time off, that you don't lay on the couch and watch television or whatever it is. It may absolutely be relaxing. But if you only get activated and stay activated, then shut down or check out, then you're never actually settling. And then the nervous system goes up and down and up and down and up and down. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? We often get this idea from everywhere that we should be even and just the same all the time. We have to activate in order to take a breath. And we have to deactivate or settle to release the breath. So, what I would suggest, the first thing that you do is, do you want to try this with me? Yeah? Okay, so feel your heartbeat wherever you want to find it. Just notice your heartbeat. And then notice your breath. Notice how your heart and your breath play with each other. However it is that you do it, even if your heart is racing, even if you're practically hyperventilating. And then what I want you to do is allow your exhale to become 1 or 2 heartbeats longer than your inhale. Then the next thing that you do is the hardest. Notice what happens after you sing longer exhales and inhales. What happens in your body? Do you notice that you're anxious because you're paying attention? Or do you notice that you settle a little bit? How can you tell? Perhaps from there, you could look around your room, your space, wherever you are. Slowly follow your eyes around, above, to the side, in front of, sure, always look there. So look everywhere. Really make sure that you're moving your head, moving your neck. Again, notice what happens. Another thing you can do is find the place where you can look the furthest away. If it's a window, that's great. If it's just in your house, look at the farthest wall. So look as far away as you can. We spend a lot of time looking at screens these days. So look far, then look in the middle distance, and then look close. Then allow your eyes to soften. So you're kind of looking at all of them at the same time. And understand that, sure, yeah, absolutely. Your eyes will come into focus, out of focus, into focus, and out of focus. But the goal is to mostly stay soft, not really looking at anything until something catches your eye. Maybe level up by noticing what's going on in your peripheral vision. And that's when you can put your hands at arm distance in front of you with your fingers up, any fingers, yourself the bird if you want, and start keep looking straight ahead and bring your arm to the sides. Probably the right one to the right side and the left one to the left side. But track both fingers, or all fingers, whatever. And then stop when you get to the point where you can't see them anymore. Come back just the tiniest bit, wiggle those fingers. Our peripheral vision works mostly in motion. So notice as you're wiggling your fingers how soft your eyes are, just so that you're paying attention to your fingers. You can do that for as long as you want. That's a great one to do if you spend a lot of time looking at screens. Again, notice what happens in your body. When we're looking at screens all the time, we're automatically signaling to our body that there is something that we should be paying attention to. Should we be stressed? Should we be afraid? Should we be angry? Not even what we're looking at, right? Never mind the content, which is probably all of the above. But just the sheer fact that you're spending time with your eyes focused on a very specific thing indicates to your body that there should be something, or there is something worth being worried about. So if you soften your eyes, spend time softening your eyes, spend time looking around, moving your neck, really moving your neck, not whipping it back and forth, not cracking your neck, but just moving those big, they're called striated muscles on the sides of your neck, moving them back and forth. Both of those things, softening your eyes, moving your neck around, really looking at your face, signals to your body there isn't all that much danger.
Yeah, I always, when I stress out, I like to concentrate on the heart because since I had heart surgery, I got the mechanical valve, so I can kind of feel it like doing its thing, and it's kind of a soothing thing that okay, I'm still alive from surgery, and it just makes me feel a little bit better knowing that the heart's ticking good and I'm good. I'm living. So
I love that.
okay, well, we all face setbacks, but some feel minor while others feel like roadblocks. How can someone tell the difference between a temporary slump and a deeper issue that needs real attention?
That's a good one. Notice if you're settled. Notice if you even know what settled, calm, feeling safe is. If you are feeling paranoid, there's a good possibility that this isn't insurmountable. If you're feeling paranoid, you might be in what we would term freeze, right? Fight, flight, freeze. If you're feeling paranoid, the world is out to get you. There's no possible way that anything could move ever in your life. You might be in freeze. If things are distorted, you're afraid of everything. You're angry about everything. Might be in fight or flight. And from those places, it's going to be really hard to tell if that's a small problem or a big problem. From fight, flight, or freeze, everything is going to feel like a big problem. I know it's not particularly easy to settle, to feel calm, get into what we call rest and digest or rest and relate. But if you can just take some time 30 seconds, 2 weeks, whatever. And help be compassionate for your system, which feels like everything is awful. That's the best place to start looking at how to look at a problem. Is it something that can shift easily? If it is, being settled is the best place to do it from. If it's a really big problem and you can't get out of fight, flight, or freeze, I go back to my very first thing, reach out for help.
Good advice. Good advice. Okay, if someone is listening right now and feeling lost, unfulfilled, or unsure of their next step in life, what is the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think there's different stages, there's different qualities to those. If it's really, really, really deep, reach out. If it's hard, wait until the next moment. Make it through this moment to the next, because things start to shift eventually. And if it's just a moment in time, settle. Do one of those things, look around, breathe out longer than you breathe in. Soften your eyes. And everybody reach out. I don't know a single person in this culture, in this world, in this moment in time, who does not have a trauma load.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what's the term? It's not accessible for everybody. So if it's a book out of the library, it's a book out of the library. If it's a podcast, I'm glad you're listening because you're not alone.
Okay, so next segment, personal transformation and success stories. You've worked with so many people on their healing journeys. Can you share a powerful success story of someone you've helped and how they transformed their life?
Well, I do tell everybody that I'm not going to disclose their details, so I can't tell you anything very specific that you may be able to figure it out. I started working with somebody about 18 months ago who was basically lying on the couch, snacking, and drinking wine. She had had something horrible happen to her in her life, just bottomed her out. And she had been there long enough that she decided to reach out for help, and she got connected with me. And together, because I'm not healing anybody, healing yourself, your nervous system, I'm just helping you figure it out. Plus, with exercise and maybe medication, like work as a team with whoever is involved. This person got off the couch, started working again, realized that although the bottom had fallen out and everything had been taken away from her, she could start again. And she could do it her way this time. And together we figured out what her way it was. We figured out how to lessen the charge of what had happened to her. We figured out that she could write. She made a website. And she is currently working on creating a pretty cool business that she would never have thought of doing. And that's not, I didn't give her the ideas for what she's doing.
You
I
just helped
helped
her
her
get out of
figure out
that
what she was.
slump. Got her motivation going so she can get out there and do it.
Yeah.
And it's awesome to have people that, help others like that. And then that person gets up and starts doing what they dream of doing, and it's an awesome thing to watch. So,
Exactly.
and hear about. So, through your work, I imagine you've seen a lot of different challenges and personal victories. What has been the most rewarding part of your journey so far?
For me, dude, I have my own business. I'm no longer working for farm wages. I mean, I'm not rich because I work with people who are down and out and they can't always pay me what I'm worth. But I get to call the shots. I get to figure out my schedule. I get to help people every single day. And I would call that the biggest win of my life.
Yeah,
I'm an entirely different human than I was.
and that's a cool thing.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. Final takeaways and call to action. If there's just one powerful message you want listeners to take away from today's conversation, what would it be?
You're not alone. You're not alone in your despair, and you're not alone as you might feel like that. It's not true.
And they're always free to chat on my YouTube channel if you need to talk, and I'll talk to them as much as I can, anyways.
Awesome.
So, last question. For those who want to dive deeper into healing, motivation, and transformation, where can they find you and learn more about your work?
Hmm. My website is easy, betsykudlinski.com. I'm guessing that you have the spelling of there somewhere.
Yeah.
I have a YouTube channel, which is Renaturing with Betsy Kudlinski, I think. I'm on Facebook, and I work individually with people, and I also run groups, small groups. Everything is through Zoom, so it's really accessible to everybody. Mm, it's physically accessible to everybody. And um, yeah, I'd be really interested in seeing new people.
Well, I believe looking at your website to prepare for this interview, I saw it said something about new groups starting in the spring or something, so people could reach out and maybe become kind of a part of your group and get some help if
Yeah,
they need it.
I have a brand new group starting, but it's actually going to be, oh, I don't know if you call it rolling admissions. Every month, people can enter it or leave it essentially. And it's for people who are looking, I think I'm calling it embodied connecting beyond social media. Social media is a fraught place right now, and the world is a fraught place right now. And if you need connecting in a embodied way, because I use SE on it, I'm hoping that that's a really perfect place for a lot of people.
Yeah. And are these groups like virtual, or do you have like
Mhm.
in-person stuff too?
They're through Zoom. Yeah, I will be doing in-person workshops. That's in the works. I'm as we're recording this, I'm in between weekends where I'm assisting and presenting at a retreat that somebody else put together.
Well, I will be sure to add your link to my website so that, I'm trying to do that with all my guests that have been on the show. Put their link on my website just to give them some advertisement. Not that my website's huge or anything. I'm just trying to start a business myself. So, um,
For
but I'll add the link and then maybe save your email address and maybe have other interviews in the future. You know, if
be
you ever
fun.
want to come back on the show and you know talk about whatever else needs to be talked about to help people or help your business or whatever. I'm here to
Really good.
grow and be better at my show and interviewing and just getting out of my shy self and being more open to the strangers and social anxiety and just fighting it. Because if I'm going to have a business, I'm going to be dealing with people a lot. So I got to get rid of that anxiety and work on it.
Yeah,
But
it's a
I
real
do
thing,
thank
isn't
you for joining us. So, but if you have any, last words or, anything to close out, feel free to do a shout out or whatever.
Oh, it's been really nice to talk to you and you, wherever you are, wherever you're listening. It's been nice to talk.
And cute dog over there.
Thank you.
Just come wandering in the video.
Hmm.
Wow, what an incredible conversation with Betsy Kudlinski. She shared so much wisdom about breaking free from limitations, staying motivated, and reconnecting with our true nature. If today's episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on her powerful insights and apply even just one small shift in your daily life. I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. So many of us wait for motivation to come to us. But as Betsy mentioned, real transformation happens when we take that first step, even if it's small. Whether it's starting your day with intentional breathing, journaling, or simply recognizing negative self talk and shifting it, those little actions create momentum. And momentum creates change. Yeah. Let me ask you, what's one thing you can commit to today that moves you closer to where you want to be? Don't overthink it. Just choose one small thing, because when you start showing up for yourself, things begin to shift. And if you want to dive deeper into Betsy's work, visit her website, betsykudlinski.com. I always torture that last name. I don't know why. Or you can connect with her on Facebook or YouTube. You heard her talk about it for more resources, guidance, and inspiration. Of course, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe, follow, share, like, all those things. Um, but share it with someone who needs a little motivation in their life. We'll be back next week with another Motivational Monday episode, so stay tuned. Um, until next time, stay inspired, take action, and remember, you're always just one decision away from a completely different life. And remember, this is totally pre-recorded because I'm testing this out. Like I said, between testing it out and the wife bringing up going out tonight, I'll do pre-recorded, test it out, see how a full recorded show works, and how many people watch, and how many people like it. And people can feel free to chat on the chat. I will read it later, and maybe pick some comments out of the box to be like on my next show or something that I can kind of like name drop and answer questions that people might ask and stuff like that. But you got to start somewhere with this pre-recorded show stuff. Because in April, I want to try to switch to pretty much all pre-recorded stuff for a little while until I get my audience growing and until I get better and more comfortable with this stuff. And then I'll, get back to the live or part live, part pre-recorded, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night on Transformative Tuesday. I might change that name too. It might not be Transformative Tuesday after April. I don't know yet. But anyways, talk to y'all later. Enjoy. Uh, just enjoy the show over and over again. Whenever you want to watch it, you can watch it. Okay. So peace out and much love. Sure.